Alright. Hi, I'm Jacqueline McAdams, registered dietitian at the Chatham-Kent Community Health Centers. Today we're going to be making a recipe for Lentil Sloppy Joes with dill coleslaw. It's going to be delicious. So what you'll need to get started, you'll need a cutting board and a knife. You will need a spatula, a frying pan, some measuring spoons, a measuring cup, your can opener, a strainer, a mixing bowl, and a whisk, and the following ingredients. So first we're going to start by preheating our oven to 450 degrees Fahrenheit. Then we're going to wash our hands. Making sure to work up a good lather, get in between our fingers, all around our thumb, our wrist, fingernails, always a good idea to start by washing your hands before you start any cooking. To start off, we're going to make our coleslaw, and this is a very simple, easy recipe, only a few ingredients. You probably already have most of them at home. So first we'll start by washing our cabbage. We're going to slice it into thin pieces. So today I'm using some green cabbage. If you like, you could also use purple cabbage or make a mixture of both. And one of the great things about cabbage is if you have leftovers, you can always use it in some soup. So we're going to measure out 1 cup worth of finely chopped green cabbage. One cup of green cabbage. Right. And then we're going to measure 1 tablespoon of olive oil. Goes into our bowl. 1 tablespoon of white vinegar. And 1 tablespoon of mayonnaise. And then we give that a good whisk. And then we add our 2 pieces of dill. So you're just going to finely chop the dill, removing it from the stem. And that goes right into our dressing. And we add cabbage. And give it a good toss. So then we set our cabbage aside so that the vinegar and the oil can start to make the cabbage nice and soft. Next, we're going to start on our Sloppy Joe mix. So for that, we're going to be using some canned lentils, some tomato paste, and different spices, including smoked paprika, ground cumin, and chili powder. And then we're also going to be adding barbecue sauce. So this recipe takes on the flavor of whatever barbecue sauce you like to use. Usually when I'm looking for a barbecue sauce, I check out the sodium and the sugar on the nutrition facts table. Often if you read the ingredient list, it will tell you that sugar is one of the first ingredients. So watch out for your barbecue sauce because it might have a lot of sugar and salt. So we're going to start by wiping off our can. Tomato paste. And canned lentils. So canned lentils have already been cooked. So all we have to do is rinse them under some cold water. So for that, to rinse them under cold water, simply use your strainer, pour it into the sink, and rinse it with some cold water. My canned lentils. Lentils are really great because they add a lot of protein, so we're using the lentils as our protein source in our Sloppy Joes instead of using some ground beef. And lentils are really great for iron and also for folic acid and fiber. So next I'm going to measure out my spices before we start cooking. So we're going to use a half teaspoon of each of the spices. So I have half a teaspoon of chili powder, half a teaspoon of ground cumin, and half a teaspoon of smoked paprika. And we have our three spices: chili powder, ground cumin, and smoked paprika. To make my Sloppy Joes, I'm going to start by heating 1 tablespoon of olive oil over medium heat. So once your olive oil starts to heat and starts to look a bit shimmery, then we are going to add 1 tablespoon of tomato paste. Add that to my pan and stir it around for about a minute. And next I'm going to toast my spices. So for this part, you'll want to make sure that you continuously stir your spice mixture so that the spices don't burn. Then I'm going to add half a cup of barbecue sauce, a third of a cup of warm water, and my can of rinsed lentils. So I mix that all together. And the lentils are going to take on the flavor of that spice mixture that we made and the barbecue sauce. So I let that heat for about 4 or 5 minutes, and meanwhile I'm going to warm up my Sloppy Joe buns. So I'll just put my Sloppy Joe buns just in the oven, right on the rack. So this recipe is great because we are using the lentils. It's really budget friendly and we save on the cost of meat. So if you want, you can always try adding half ground beef and half lentils to get used to the idea, or you can try the full thing. It almost looks like pork and beans, or brown beans. So after my lentils have simmered, then I'll just take them off the heat and remove the buns from the oven. So the last step is to bring it all together. We're going to take our bun and plate some of the lentils onto the bun. Put a little bit of the Dill Slaw on top. And we put a little bit of the Dill Slaw on top. And some for the side. And there we have it. So we have our Lentil Sloppy Joes with our dill coleslaw on the side. Delish!